You're upside down, though space has no up, just a horizon of fire where a continent used to be. The planet turns beneath you like a dying coal. Cracks glow, cities blink out. Your breath fogs the inside of your cracked visor, a trembling crescent of frost with every gasp. The ring at your finger hums like a tired heart. You thought the ring was an honor. It was a life sentence. Your ribs ache with every micro-movement. The suit's seals complain. Radiation ticks against your bones like rain on tin. You extend a shaking hand toward the orange wound on the world below, and the ring flickers once, twice like a lighthouse running out of fuel. Warnings crawl across your vision, then stutter to blank. Silence. Not the peaceful kind. The kind that presses on your skull and asks what you're willing to lose next. You try to form another construct, simple, small, anything, but your thoughts come apart like wet paper. The light sputters. The glow dies. For a heartbeat, you are only a person again, frightened, floating, nothing between you and the dark but stubbornness you never asked for. The mask's auto-tint fails. The burn of the planet fills your eyes. Somewhere down there, the last evac shuttles rise like sparks from a bonfire, tiny and helpless and late. You count them. You stop counting. You try not to think of names. Your mouth is dry. Your throat tastes like metal. You remember the instructor's voice. Conserve. Focus. Breathe. You breathe. The ring answers with a thready pulse. A green pulse that used to sound like certainty and now sounds like goodbye. In the black, a shard of debris spins past someone's roof, someone's day, someone's life. You watch it turn end over end until it becomes a point, and then nothing at all. The truth lands, heavy and simple. No one will remember how close this was. They will only remember that it didn't end today. You look at the ring. It looks back cold star in a dead sky, waiting for your will to decide what happens next. Your pulse steadies. You reach for the light you swore would never fail, even when you do. And then, like an old wound reopening, the memory finds you the first time it spoke, the first time it chose you, the moment you mistook the wait for glory. Rewind. You were no one special, just a pilot, a cop, a mechanic, someone trying to survive another day beneath an ordinary sun. Then the sky tore open. A green spark streaked across the clouds like lightning with purpose. You looked up, shielding your eyes, as the air around you bent and folded into something alive. The ring stopped in front of you, spinning, humming with a voice you didn't yet understand. It spoke, clear as thought inside your skull. You have the ability to overcome great fear. The world froze. Every sound, the birds, the wind, the traffic fell silent, as if the planet itself were listening. You laughed once, nervous, because things like this only happen in stories. Then it slipped onto your finger. You didn't have time to scream. A shock of emerald light wrapped around your body and ripped you upward. The street below blurred into streaks of gold and blue. Clouds shattered past. The atmosphere turned into a tunnel of static. You reached for the sky out of instinct, not courage, and the earth vanished behind you. Inside the ring, there were whispers, thousands of them, voices of every lantern who'd ever lived, echoing through your mind like prayers from the dead. You tried to pull it off, but the ring wouldn't move. It pulsed once, a heartbeat against your own, and you realized it wasn't a gift. It was a command. Destiny hadn't asked for permission. It had taken you. The first thing you feel is pain. It isn't the heroic kind. It's the burn that tells you you're in a place that was never meant for you. OA stretches below an endless desert of silver dust and black towers stabbing through a green sky. The ring lowers you into a city that hums with alien geometry, impossible shapes folding into themselves, glowing veins of willpower thrumming through the streets. Your lungs seize the moment you breathe. The air tastes like acid and lightning. Your body convulses. Your human blood can't process the gases here. The ring reacts, wrapping your body in a thin film of light. A voice in your head. Atmosphere incompatible. Protective shell engaged. You're saved by something you can't control. Again. Then the shadow falls across you. A creature built like a mountain of muscle, skin carved from stone, tusks curving toward the sky. Kilowog, he grunts. Instructor. His eyes study you like a defect on a production line. He gestures to a line of recruits, hundreds of species, all terrified, all pretending not to be. Listen up, poozers, he bellows, voice like thunder on tin. Out here, your willpower's all that keeps you alive. And trust me, you ain't got enough of it yet. You stumble to attention, dizzy, staring at a horizon that never ends. Kilowog smirks. If you can still stand, you're not working hard enough. Then the drills begin. Weightless sprints through airless canyons. Constructs collapsing in your hands as concentration falters. The humiliation of failure broadcast telepathically to everyone. Every breath, every thought, every heartbeat measured, tested, and found wanting. Days blur into agony. You sleep beneath light that never dims. And when you think you can't go any further, the ring whispers, try again. By the end of your first week, your hands shake from exhaustion, your mind from fear. But you refuse to let go. You clench your fist, and the ring hums not with triumph, but compliance. You stare at it, this perfect circle of light and slavery, and realize the truth. You wanted power. They gave you pain. You stop counting the days. OA doesn't do days. There's no dawn here, no night. Just the pale, endless green glow that seeps into your bones until you forget what shadows look like. They call it training, but it feels more like dismantling. Kilowog marches you through airless valleys where gravity shifts without warning. You haul the husks of collapsed towers across terrain that shouldn't exist. Architecture turned to rubble, now your burden. The ring makes you strong enough to move them, but not strong enough to rest afterward. You run until your legs fail. Then you run in the air, constructs under your feet. You build bridges made of your own will, only to watch them shatter the moment your concentration slips. Again, Kilowog roars. Your voice breaks when you try to answer. He doesn't care. In the classrooms, if you can call them that, you stare at alien equations written in light that burns your retinas. Each symbol controls the ring's geometry, its energy matrices, its quantum fields. You memorize them while standing, because the chairs are designed for a species without spines. Some recruits crumble. You see it happen. A tentacled being from Sector 214 collapses mid-lecture. Its ring floats free, glows once in morning, then zips away into the void to find another victim. No one speaks, no one helps. The next problem appears on the board. Sleep comes in gasps between alarms. The barracks hum with the low vibration of the central battery, a sound like a god breathing in its sleep. You dream of home, of food that tastes like something, of a sun that warms instead of burns. The ring wakes you before the dream finishes, training resumption in 4 seconds. You learn what fear really is, not the kind the Guardians warn you about, but the small, creeping kind that whispers, maybe I wasn't chosen because I'm brave. Maybe I was chosen because I break quietly. Another day, another exercise. You're ordered to lift a structure the size of a mountain. You do it. The light screams through your muscles, the air crackles, and for a moment you feel infinite. Then the structure buckles and collapses. Kilowog's voice. Good. Now do it while dying. By the second month, you stop trying to impress anyone. You just try not to disappear. You watch more rings drift away, silent meteors vanishing into black space, and you wonder if they envy the ones who left. As you stagger beneath another impossible load, the thought arrives, uninvited but sharp. Would you keep the ring after this? You're summoned to the hall of the book, a cathedral of light so vast it hums with its own gravity. Thousands of lanterns hover in formation, heads bowed. In the center floats the Book of OA, a tablet the size of a city, etched with words older than most galaxies. A guardian speaks, voice flat and perfect, as if recorded by eternity itself. These are the 10 laws, the spine of order, the proof of obedience. Each law unfurls in burning script across the air, each word searing into your mind through the ring. Law 1. Protect life and liberty within your sector. You nod. That one makes sense. It sounds heroic. But they keep reading. Law 2. Obey the guardians without question. You glance around. No one moves. No one breathes. The silence feels like a verdict. Freedom ends at Law 2. Whispers a voice beside you, a lantern so old his ring has fused into his skin. Everything after that is decoration. The laws keep coming. Law 3. Do not interfere with the politics of other worlds. You remember the starving colonies you flew over yesterday, hands reaching toward you through shattered domes. You weren't allowed to help. Law 4. Operate within local law unless told otherwise. A neat loophole for those in charge. Law 5. No violence unless provoked. You smirk. Every lantern here has already broken it. Law 6. No use of ring for personal gain. You think of home, of what one construct could have done for your dying mother. Law 7. Respect all species. You look up at the Guardian's emotionless gods in miniature and wonder if it goes both ways. Law 8. Exhaust all peace before war. Law 9. Prioritize greatest danger first. Law 10. Uphold the honor of the core. When the reading ends, the Guardian closes the book with a sound like a tomb sealing shut. Memorize them, he says, then forget everything else. The crowd disperses. You remain floating there, staring at the faint reflection of your face in the book's surface. It looks less human than it did yesterday. You whisper, 10 laws to serve the universe, or just to keep us chained. The ring hums, uncertain, as if it doesn't know the answer either. The alarms come first, an electric scream ripping through OA's thin atmosphere. Then the sky splits open. A spear of yellow light tears across the horizon, detonating into shapes you've never seen, sharp, animalistic constructs snarling against the void. Your visor flashes. Emotional resonance, fear detected. Kilowog shouts, orders. The recruits scatter. You don't think, you act. The ring responds instantly, wrapping you in a blaze of green and hurling you into the fight. From a distance, the Sinestro Corps looks almost beautiful. Golden warriors drifting like suns, their armor burning against the black. But up close, their terror made physical. Their light doesn't shine, it hisses. You throw up a shield. A yellow serpent slams into it, jaws wide, and your barrier cracks like glass. The voice in your mind sharpens. Your fear is compromising the construct. You grit your teeth. You remember the oath, the laws, the training. You force the will to hold. The serpent dissolves. You breathe. Then you look down. You realize your ring is dimmer than before. The green flickers like a dying candle. You understand the awful symmetry their fear drains your will. Opposites, locked forever in combat, feeding on each other's weakness. A Sinestro warrior drifts close, eyes glowing amber. His grin is human enough to hurt. You feel it, don't you? He says, voice bleeding into your mind. That moment before courage dies. He hurls a blast of yellow fire. You counter with a wall of emerald steel. The lights collide. For a second, the world holds its breath, then your wall shatters. You spin out, tumbling through debris, oxygen alarms wailing. The green around your hands fades to nothing. No constructs, no shield, no sound but your own panicked breathing. And in that silence, shame blooms hotter than fear ever could. You fall through the dark, not dead, just powerless, and you realize what they meant all along. Willpower isn't courage, it's denial. And for the first time since the ring found you, you wonder if you deserve it. Patrol duty. It sounds noble until you live it. Until you realize the universe never sleeps, and every sunrise somewhere is someone else's apocalypse. You drift between stars that don't even have names yet, patching the holes left behind by other people's mistakes. 1 hour, you're catching a falling cargo freighter before it burns through a planet's atmosphere. The next, you're redirecting a solar flare with constructs so thin your bones hum from the strain. Sometimes it's smaller, too small to feel like purpose. A child trapped under rubble after a quake on Trallian 6. A terrified animal stranded on a meteor the size of a living room. The ring doesn't distinguish between grand and trivial. It just reports life in danger. You land, you fix, you leave. The locals cheer. They chant your name. 5 minutes later, they've already moved on. They don't remember the human inside the armor, just the flash of green that tore across their sky. You pass a reflective surface on your next patrol and almost don't recognize the face behind the mask eyes rimmed in exhaustion, mouth set like a wound that never healed. You used to think saving lives would make you feel lighter. Instead, it's erosion. Every victory scrapes away another layer until all that's left is the duty itself. Cold, impersonal, endless. The ring hums for another alert. You answer automatically. Because heroes don't retire. They erode. Ziob arrived first as a shimmer in the corner of your vision, a coil of green light folding into itself until it spoke. No face, no body. Just a voice that felt like static and warmth at the same time. Partner assignment confirmed, it said. Sector rotation begins. You expected another drill sergeant. Instead, you found the only creature in the galaxy who didn't ask why you looked so tired. Ziob didn't sleep, didn't eat, didn't breathe, but it listened. Between missions, you learned to read the flickers in its glow blue for amusement, violet for frustration, a faint white pulse for concern. Sometimes you almost believed it smiled. You told it once about coffee, about rain, about what silence sounded like on Earth. It tried to mimic the noise, distorting its energy field, until the result was a low, metallic hiss. You both laughed, or the closest thing to laughter that can exist in vacuum. But when you went home on leave, the silence there was different. You sat across from someone who still called you by your real name, who asked where you'd been, what you'd seen. You couldn't answer. Everything you'd sworn to protect was locked behind confidentiality protocols and the ring itself, which dimmed when you tried to tell the truth. Nights stretched longer. Messages stopped coming. The distance between planets wasn't as wide as the distance between who you'd been and what you'd become. The final argument came quietly. They looked at you, not the uniform, not the ring, Ewan said, "I don't even know what you are anymore." You opened your mouth, searching for the right constellation of words, but only the ring answered. A call-out blazed in your mind. Distress signal, Sector 984. Duty interrupted heartbreak the way it always did. You left mid-sentence. When you reached orbit, Ziob was waiting, pulsing that faint white glow. It didn't ask questions. It never had to. In that moment you understood. On OA, love wasn't forbidden. It was just impossible. It happens quietly, without ceremony, the miracle that shouldn't be possible. Your child is born on the medical moon of Orthax, wrapped in sterile light and silence. A union between carbon and current, flesh and frequency, your DNA intertwined with Ziob's energy lattice, stabilized by a team of alien geneticists who looked more like architects than doctors. They call it an experiment in adaptive life synthesis. You call it your daughter. Her skin glows faintly at night. She laughs in harmonic tones. When she touches your hand, the ring pulses as if recognizing a part of itself. For the first time since OA stole your humanity, you feel something that doesn't belong to the core, a future. But the Guardians do not believe in futures, only in control. Within hours, their emissaries arrive small, blue, and cold as stone. They scan the infant, whisper to one another in mathematical frequencies. Unstable hybrid, potential liability. The words taste like rust in your mouth. They explain it clinically. If an enemy ever discovered your child's genetic signature, she could become a target, a hostage, a weapon. Their solution: relocation to a secure facility. You ask where. They don't answer. They don't need to. You argue, your voice rising, your ring flaring brighter than it ever has, but Ziob intervenes. They are within regulation, it says softly, its tone breaking like static rain. And just like that, the Guardians lift your daughter away in a beam of sterile green light, her tiny hands reaching for you until they vanish behind the shimmer. Weeks later, a report reaches you, a Sinestro strike on a transport convoy. You're on patrol in another sector, too far to help. You don't know which convoy. The Guardians say, classified. You ask again. The ring pulses a warning. Defiance logged. Something inside you fractures. You start to dream of Earth again, of a home that doesn't exist, of warmth that doesn't fade under green light. You saved galaxies. You held collapsing suns in your bare hands. But when it mattered most, when it was your own blood screaming through the void, you couldn't save your home. The ring never lets you cry. It converts the surge of grief into power, into order, into another mission. And so you fly. Not because you still believe in the oath, but because if you stop, you'll finally have to feel what you've lost. By now, the word enemy has lost meaning. There are too many, and they all believe they're right. The ring logs them as colors in the emotional spectrum, simple categories for things far too complex. But you've seen what they look like up close, what they feel like. The red lanterns. Rage given form. They bleed plasma, their hearts replaced by furnaces that burn with pure hate. You once saw a red lantern punch through a moon because someone mocked their fallen leader. The vacuum screamed as its fragments scattered. Your ring flared in response, trying to analyze them, but it couldn't rage as chaos, and chaos doesn't fit into protocol. The Guardians tell you never to empathize with them, never to mirror their anger. Rage corrupts will. But when you see the ruin they leave behind, it's hard not to hate them. The Orange Lanterns. A single being, Larflea's greed incarnate. He hoards his power like a dragon hoards flame. Every soul he kills becomes part of his collection, bound as constructs that can never die. You fought his echoes, ghosts of warriors screaming for release, and felt the envy in your chest when you saw how much power one ring could hold. The Guardians warn. Greed consumes will. You nod, pretending not to understand. Though you do. You've dreamed of keeping something, anything for yourself. The Black Lanterns. Death itself. Reanimated. They wear corpses like armor, puppets strung by a god called Necron. They don't speak in words, but in memories, your memories. You hear your daughter's voice coming from one once, soft and wrong. The ring detected no life signs. You destroyed it anyway. The Guardians call it balance, this war of colors, this constant equilibrium of destruction. You call it madness. You realize the cruel truth. Each core feeds on an emotion you're forbidden to feel. You can't fear like the yellow. You can't rage like the red. You can't want like the orange. You can't grieve like the black. And yet, you must fight them all. Every part of you that wants to scream, to love, to feel, you smother it beneath green light because emotion is weakness, and weakness gets you killed. Your ring hums, sinking to your heart rate. The pulse is steady, clinical, detached. You've become what the Guardians always wanted. A weapon that doesn't question the hand that wields it. Time doesn't flow the same way in the core. There are no calendars on OA, no birthdays, no gray hairs to measure the years. Only scars, and you have more than most. Your reflection now is an anatomy lesson in endurance. Skin webbed with faint emerald lines where radiation once ate through the suit. Joints that tremble when the ring's field drops for maintenance. A heart that beats only because the ring keeps the rhythm for it. You used to joke that the ring was your partner. Now it's your pacemaker, your lungs, your spine. It patches the burns, repairs the nerves, stimulates the muscles just enough to keep you functional. Each morning, when you wake, it calibrates your body back to adequate combat readiness. You go for your mandatory exam in Core Medical, a chamber of light and hums. No doctors left alive here, only machines. One of the ancient med drones hovers over you, its voice brittle and calm. Without the ring, you'd be dead. The words echo longer than they should. You realize it isn't a diagnosis, it's a sentence. The thing that saved you has also imprisoned you in survival. Remove it, and you vanish. Keep it, and you serve until it decides otherwise. You float homeward through the green corridors of OA, the hum of the central battery rattling your ribs. Every lantern you pass salutes. None of them look older than you. You wonder if they see the tremor in your hand, the fatigue behind your mask. You pause by the crypts, the endless rows of emerald coffins that glow faintly under the city. Each one holds someone who believed they'd earned peace. You whisper to no one. How do you retire from being the light? The ring hums, as if it doesn't understand the question. Then, quietly, to the viewer, if your power was also your life support, could you ever quit? The silence afterward feels heavier than the armor ever did. The distress call comes through faint, distorted by radiation. A small world on the edge of your sector. Nothing strategic, nothing sacred. Just another civilization trying to survive the arrogance of its own science. A reactor meltdown. A planetary core moments from rupture. You're the closest lantern. There's no backup, no time. The Guardians don't even respond. When you arrive, the sky is red with ion storms. The atmosphere flickers like a dying flame. Cities crumble beneath waves of light. Millions cry out in the open channels, their voices overlapping a choir of panic and prayer. The ring calculates the odds. Containment impossible. Evacuation probability 12%. You silence the alert. You descend through the chaos, carving tunnels of green light through falling debris, wrapping civilians in construct shells, launching them toward orbit. One by one, the evacuation pods flare away, tiny green sparks against the red horizon. Each pulse from the ring grows weaker. Heartbeats blend with static. Your breathing distorts through the comms, shallow and uneven. Warning, power reserves below 1%. You ignore it. You've been ignoring it for years. You reach the reactor's heart, a wound in the planet, molten and screaming. Your body trembles as you project a containment field around it, weaving layers of light to hold the explosion. The pressure builds. The planet groans. Kilowog's old voice echoes in your memory. If you can still stand, you're not working hard enough. You stand. The green begins to burn white hot, so bright it sears through your suit. The pain stops being pain. It becomes clarity. You think of your daughter's laughter, of Zeob's shimmer in the dark, of the oath you once whispered, believing it meant something sacred. In brightest day, you feel the planet settle a shudder, then stillness. The meltdown collapses in on itself. The field holds. Alarms fade into silence. The ring flickers once, then twice, then dies. You drift in the quiet, weightless, empty. No power, no pain, no duty. For the first time in decades, there is nothing left to obey. And in that nothing, something like peace. Maybe this is what freedom feels like. The storm is gone. The planet, once screaming, now drifts in fragile silence, its surface cracked but stable, its people alive. High above the ruins, dust swirls through orbit like ash from an ancient fire. Your partner Zeob arrives late, a streak of light slowing to a dim pulse. It scans the surface, its voice flickering through static. Signal trace detected. Lantern designation inactive. There's no answer. Only the echo of distant wind and the faint hum of a ring searching for a pulse that isn't there. Through the smoke, Zeob spots it, a cracked helmet half buried in the dust, visor fractured, green glow fading. Next to it floats the ring, its light flickering weakly as if remembering what it was meant to protect. For a long moment, neither moves. Then the ring rises, spinning once, releasing a soft tone, the lantern's final heartbeat. It hesitates, almost as if mourning. Then, without a word, it shoots into the sky, carving a streak of emerald across the black-off to find the next bearer, the next believer, the next fool brave enough to think they can change the universe. Zeob watches until the light vanishes. Service complete, it whispers, though no one hears it. Back on OA, the Guardians record the mission as successful. A memorial crystal is placed in the crypt, one among millions, identical, anonymous. The official statement reads, "Lantern served honorably, died preserving life." But the truth drifts in the silence between stars. The Guardians will say you served honorably. But the truth? You were fuel. The universe still spins because someone like you wouldn't quit. The screen fades to black. Only the faint hum of the ring remains distant, eternal. Then text appears, pulsing softly in green. Would you still wear the ring?